Hey, what's happening, everybody? Thank you for joining me for today's review video as we do take a look at Series 5 from the Big Rubber Guys. And before we do dive in, I do have a question for you guys. Several days ago, I made a video. I decided not to post it because someone was mentioned. It wasn't about him, but because his name came up for a split second, I didn't want to post it because... And it was about one of the viewers. One of the viewers made a comment, and it got me thinking. I'm like, this is brilliant. I really like this idea. It was sarcastic. It was insulting. It was supposed to make fun of me, but I am not soft-skinned, okay? I can laugh at things when things are funny, and I found it humorous. And like I said, I thought it was very entertaining. And... based off watching probably a minute or two of one single video, I am now known as, and I'm going to abbreviate, or I'm going to paraphrase, based on YouTube standards. I am now known as the foul-mouthed drunkard. Yes, the foul-mouthed drunkard. And again, I'm paraphrasing. So that nickname, I think, is absolutely clever. And I got so many friends right now on YouTube telling me that I need to change the title of YouTube, change my channel name so that I can appeal to more viewers or bring in more, so that it stands out more. And to be honest, I don't know how to freaking even do that. Like, I wanted to change it to Waddy's channel, like, when I first started, but it just comes up as Matt Watson, so that's why for like 2.5 years in the title, I always put Waddy's channel, episode number, yada, yada, yada. And I just started doing away with the Waddy's channel episode number because I started doing more discussion type videos, Karen videos, talking about real crime videos and stuff like that. So, and I felt like just putting regular titles in there was going to be more beneficial. So, but that's the reason why I always just kept the same title for all my videos and then put the description afterwards. So I don't know how to actually change the name of the channel. You would think I would have learned after all this time, but I guess I think that's a clever and a fun screen name. Now, you guys correct me if you feel differently. If you think I'm being an idiot for thinking that's a good choice, but I think that is a very eye-popping and eye-catching name that would immediately force someone's attention, force someone to click on a video just to see what the heck it's about. The foul-mouthed drunkard. I thought it was catchy, so I can't even be mad at the guy for trying to send shade my way because I thought it was brilliant. And that's what I'm talking about. If you got to be able to laugh at yourself, how many celebrities out there go to these dinners, okay, where they're like receiving these lifetime achievement awards, and they've got comedians and family members and friends and other celebrities and movie stars doing these roasts where they're just absolutely just tearing into them. It's for a good cause, and you know, the roasts are for humor. It's for fun. A lot of people, they take things the wrong way, or they read too much into it. So, and I'm not talking about anybody particularly in this regard. I'm just mentioning in general. So, who's the guys I started watching? What's his name? Neon is one. I don't watch him, but he's always on like Pegasus, and all those other guys are always talking about him, and I'm like, yeah, I couldn't imagine watching that. That would annoy the crap out of me. Neon and the hell's that white guy with curly hair? That irritates the crap out of everybody. But just I feel like so many people are just soft skinned. Like they take the easiest things that you could just simply laugh off and make a big fuss about it, and then you just make yourself look weak. And so, but let's move on, man. What was I talking about? Well, I'm talking about these guys today. From the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, the Big Rubber Guys. I love the Big Rubber Guys because these guys are not out to turn some huge massive profit, right? These are not vintage action figures. They are modern day action figures, and they are priced accordingly. I've always said, if LJN did not exist in the 1980s and they were out in the markets today, if you found LJN figures in Walmart, they would not be on the shelves selling for $7.99. They'd probably be selling for $20, $30, $50 even. And the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, that's exactly what they're charging. They're charging you $50 for those LJN style figures. And when I see these other companies out there, or when it comes to like people who customize, and I'm not talking about big businesses, I'm talking about your average, everyday, I customize for fun type of guys. Those are different stories, man, because these guys, they're purchasing figures with their own funds. They're buying paints with their own funds. They're taking hours upon hours of painting and detailing, sometimes cutting and carving to create their own characters or repaint figures. So that's a different story. But when you got actual molds and can like recreate your own figures, with something that would probably take an hour to create, let's say 100 figures, for example, it's a different story, right? So I love these guys because they're not charging you vintage prices for a modern day item. So that's a huge bonus. Secondly, they actually have permission from the estate of either the wrestlers or the family, and a lot of the profits that they make from the sale of these items go back to those families, and I think that's amazing. I respect the hell out of these guys. So whenever I do a review about the Big Rubber Guys, that's one of the reasons why I kind of want to do those shout outs. And yeah, I do recommend them to interested buyers. But I don't try to force it on anybody. I try to give my interpretation. I'm like, hey, I like this about them. I don't like this about them. Usually the dislike comes in regard to the figure themselves. And I've only come across maybe 2 or 3 figures where I said I like it, but I might not be in love with it type of deal. Because these are easy open packages, which, again, better than your original LJNs because you're not destroying any package. So for those collectors who are like myself and are mint on card collectors, you are not actually destroying the packaging. So we've got Dynamite Kid. Design-wise, or not design, but overall appearance, aesthetically, this is a gorgeous figure. And let me give it my first real glance. Like I said, whenever I do these reviews, the first time I really give it a full look-see is when I'm actually in front of the computer. Excuse me. So you guys know that my reactions are always genuine and everything. So now the pose, we all saw the poses when we first saw the pre-orders up for, and we went in to make the purchases. The British Bulldog original LJN figures are not 2 of my favorite figures. I kind of feel like they're 2 of the bottom tier, maybe even 2 of the, I don't know if they're low end LJNs in my opinion. They're definitely playable figures, but the whole one arm up deal, the way that they are, I don't like that. I think that's terrible. They're basically one arm body slam, one arm flying clothesline type guy, and that's essentially it. And I didn't like that at all. So I thought, and the red pants, they're adequate. The boots look nice. It's decent. As you guys know, I did not grow up watching the British Bulldogs in the 1980s. In fact, Davey Boy Smith, I only knew him really as the British Bulldog, and really calling him Davey Boy, not really. Dynamite Kid, I don't even think I even heard the name Dynamite Kid until I started collecting LJNs a few years ago. But, of course, once I started the LJN collection, I had to learn about the characters, right? And I immediately became a huge fan favorite, or Dynamite Kid immediately became a fan favorite of mine. Because he was this amazing high flyer cat. You kind of think of like the Hardy Brothers, guys like that who do all these acrobatics and aerial moves. He was that guy in the 80s, long before that was very common in wrestling. And I like the fact that this, to me, you think about Hasbro, again, Hasbro, that's what I gravitate towards. So I love anything that's reminiscent to the Hasbro characters or the Hasbro color schemes. And I think about Davey Boy Smith, and I think about the white pants with the UK flag, right? So I like that a lot. The arms low, if it was up like this would be fine. Down low, I'm not a fan of that. He's basically like even worse than Don Morocco, where the arms are just way too low, and you can't really do much with it. Fighting pose-wise, in that regard, it's terrible. Is it a horrible figure? Absolutely not. The British Bulldogs, again, for $50, man, I think this is a fantastic pickup. If you're going over to certain sites and you're paying $130, $150 for it, I'd still do it because I'm me. I have to. I am a completist. Yes, that word was described to me, and I'm like, you know what? Yes, I am going to take that word and use it for myself because that describes me to a T. I am a completist. It is a good-looking figure. Display-wise, fantastic, and you know what? I don't care, man. If you are someone who makes wrestling videos, like actual wrestling videos, like playtime wrestling type stuff, this will still be an enjoyable figure, I'm sure. I'm sure you'd have a lot of fun and enjoyment out of this. But detail-wise, this is a fun and killer figure, nonetheless. And I think that the head-wise, this goes, yeah. It's, not quite, it doesn't quite mimic the LJN, but I do think it's a little bit more reminiscent to I don't want to say 3D printed. They got Cello Toys though. Cello Toys has like a really good face resemblance to Dynamite Kid, so I think that's done really, really well. And then we've got Davey Boy. So, I think it was 1988, I want to say. And I've probably seen this particular Battle Royal probably a handful of times in my life. But I think it was in I think it was called the Albert Hall in the UK in 1988. And we saw Davey Boy Smith win the Battle Royal, which was so nice to see a beloved WWF wrestler win a competition in his home country. When anyone goes to their hometown, you like to see them do well, and it kind of sucks that I think who was it? Was it I think it was Typhoon and Earthquake both jumped him right after the match. And then you see Andre the Giant come down, and he's on a freaking cane. I'm like, I think that's freaking killer. Yeah, the man's over 7 feet tall, but come on, he's on a cane, he can barely freaking move. Be realistic now. One of the most depressing things in life is David Boy Smith was. When you think about guys who are like in the best shape of their lives, this man was ripped about as well as any guy that you could ever imagine. As far as an actual wrestler, I think this to me he's like my number 7 or 8 all time favorite wrestler. I think the number 3 guys are always going to be locked down with Hogan, Warrior, and Macho Man. I think the next 3 will always be locked down with Bret Hart. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and Undertaker. But then you got, I'd probably put British Bulldog at number 7. I'd probably put Roddy Piper at number 8. And after that, I don't know, kind of a bit of a toss-up. But one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, one of the nicest guys of all time. Man was a freaking legend, and to hear that somebody dies at the age of 40, and I don't know what it is about professional wrestling where everyone has to die in the 30s and 40s. When we heard that the Iron Sheik died last year, it was a very somber moment for a lot of fans because that was a character that many of us had watched at some point in our lives. And but at the end of the day, at least we can look back and say, hey, this man was what, 81 years old, I think he was, 81, so he lived to be in his 80s. He lived a full, healthy life for the most part, and considering his, that was actually very surprising, but a very beloved member of the World Wrestling Federation, probably the greatest heel ever, and he lived a nice long life, and that's what's up. Kamala, yeah, the man was up there in weight and everything, had a pretty hefty size on him. He lived to be like 70 years old, and I'm like, awesome. I love Kamala. But it seems like the guys that are always in the most physically best shape are always the guys that die very early. And yeah, there's a lot of talk about him being on like a massive amount of steroids, and true or not, that sucks. The figure itself, I don't know if I like this one better than Dynamite. I think Dynamite is a better playable figure in that regard. Yeah, he's like a Ron Simmons, drops an elbow. Other than Ron Simmons, who has a stupid fused arms to the chest, at least he could like do it like a little small punch to the rib cage or something. There are very few characters, very few wrestlers, I think, that really spark an emotional reaction. And British Bulldog to me, and this will always be my British Bulldog. This guy, he's definitely one of them. I think one day, if Hulk Hogan ever passes away, that right there, I think will be another one. That, are you gonna sit down and bust out crying? Probably not, but if you think that it's not gonna absolutely destroy you inside, that's your childhood, right? That's like one of your most important people in your life growing up. I love the British Bulldog, and like I said, he wasn't the British Bulldog tag team. He was just the British Bulldog. Figure, again, nice, everything sharp. Because the original LJNs were just strictly mirrors of one another, the one thing I do give Big Rubber Guys a lot of credit for is the fact that they at least gave these figures their own respective play pose. Are they necessarily good? Not really. Are they better than the original LJNs, play pose wise? Probably not. And like I said, the original LJN play poses aren't exactly my favorite. The original LJN British Bulldogs are like very low tier figures for me. But I still enjoy these figures nonetheless. They're the British Bulldogs, and if these were like some no-name figure you never heard of, because I wasn't watching wrestling and I really don't know a lot about the Hardy brothers, but so if I think about like Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, for example, let's say if you put them together in a tandem like this and they had this type of pose, would they mean the same to me? Or I don't know, who is a popular tag team? DX. I don't know. I think DX was probably late 90s. Because the whole suck it thing or whatever was very popular, but like, I don't really, like, I know that was going around school a lot, but like, I wasn't watching wrestling, active watching wrestling, so like, you knew about it because idiots were always doing that. Um, but like, I don't remember like actually watching them and everything, so I think that was after I stopped watching wrestling. But at the same time, if like, you put like Triple H and 1-2-3 Kid or something together or whatnot, would they have the same? Would it mean the same to me as these guys? No. If these guys were the Heart Foundation, same thing. I would be over the moon for it because they're an important tag team. If these guys were the Rockers, absolutely would love it because it's an all-time favorite tag team. So. Nasty Boys, Legion of Doom, Demolition, as I said, Rockers. Yeah, these would be things I'd actually care about. And I love that they include a Matilda. I get it, you only need one Matilda. And I think putting it with Davey Boy makes the most sense. But at the same time, what if you only buy one British Bulldog and you are a fan of Dynamite and you just want a Dynamite Kid and you don't want a Davey Boy? Or simply you didn't have the funds and you could only get one. And again, you chose Dynamite. Or you liked the pose on Dynamite better for whatever reason you chose. Then you would have lost out on this accessory. Or you would have been mad because you would have had to get Davey Boy because you wanted the accessory and you would have missed out on the figure you really wanted. So, kind of a bit of a toss-up there. So we'll go over the back of the card real quick. So I like that they keep these things in order with Series 1. Good figures. Kind of stick with your LJN Macho Man. Again, Macho Man LJN is a mid-tier LJN figure to low mid-tier. Not exactly one of the best figures. But the figures here from Series 1 were good. Or above average, well above average. Demolition, probably two of the best darn LJN-esque figures you could ever find out there. Those were absolutely phenomenal. Series 3, when I first did my Series 3 review of these guys, I don't want to say disappointed, but I felt like I was expecting a whole lot more. Even though I saw the pre-order and I saw the pictures and everything. I really like the Marty Jannetty. Even with the Tom Zenk pose, I still would live with that. I'm not a fan of Sergeant Slaughter. Now, I did learn later on that apparently the Sergeant Slaughter was based on the design from the original LJN. It was based on their original design. And, gotta create a drinking video for every time I say now. Alright, what did I say? Oh, Sergeant Slaughter. So that kind of makes sense, and it makes me feel a little bit more special about the figure, but not a whole lot. Ric Flair, I kind of felt like Ric Flair was the worst of the bunch, but actually Ric Flair is a fantastic figure. And I don't mind it at all. Series 4 was spectacular with both black and blue strap Andre, and the one thing I'm missing, I still want to get the lime green Macho Man. That one is so freaking rare. And if you do go on eBay, if you try to win on auction, you're probably paying like $160 for it. Now, if it comes down to paying like $160 for an orange or a green, yeah, I'd rather have the green, but And I think I might have to, because I don't think the green was even available for pre-order. I think it was like, I think that was only at like a, not a Comic-Con, but I don't know what the heck they call those things. Some kind of wrestling con type thing. So, Toy Con or whatnot. And that's 4. And then 5, of course, as we know, British Bulldogs. In fact, I think I just picked up Series 8. Now, how the heck are we at Series 8 when we just got in the British Bulldogs today? Oh, man. In fact, I think I purchased the Series 8 before, and I think I just repurchased them again just a few days ago. So I might actually have duplicates coming. I don't know. I don't know if I'll resell them. If I do have duplicates, I'll either resell them or I'll open up one package and kind of sit them in front of the other set. I haven't decided what I'll do yet, so. But anyways, that is it for this video. Holy crap, 30 minutes. Almost 30 minutes. Sorry guys, sometimes when I start talking I just can't shut the hell up. That is it for now, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye everybody.